You're welcome to the second segment of discourse on your flagship program, Nationalism and You, on the platform of This Morning on ITV. I remain your host, Ebenezer Oyetaki. And here on Nationalism and You, we are inspiring and helping to create a community of nation builder. And that is why we're taking a look at a topic this morning: avoiding overheating the polity en route to 2023. With me to take a look at this topic this morning is Mr. Ayodele Adepito. You are welcome to our studio.
Thank you so much.
And I say, Nationalism and You.
That is my responsibility and your responsibility. I own my country to be loyal, and my country owes the responsibility to be loyal to me. So nationality is me, and nationality is you. Thank you.
Very well. Avoiding overheating the polity. How would you, what are the issues and the factors that can lead to a polity being overheated in a political situation, climate that we are en route into aspirations and elections?
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity once again. There's a lot of reasons or factors that can determine a polity being overheated. And before I continue further, I would like to make this statement that politics overeating can never come to an end.
Okay.
It can never. No matter the system we want to use, we know that politics is all about interest. And interest to you might be different to interest to me, but we have the ultimate interest, which is making sure that the people of Nigeria is in good, the interest of the people of Nigeria is the ultimate goal. That once we establish that fact, we'll know that yes, whatsoever we want to think about or do as to politics, the interest of the people should be the paramount, and other reasons and interest whatsoever should be the secondary. And now, take for example, when we talk about politics, we know that it's all about having that power to ruin the affairs of men. And number two is the fact that every individual, no matter their state, just want to be at that aim and make the command whatsoever it might be to make sure that they rule in the affair of man. So looking at some of the factors like religious factor is there, social factor is there, even the political class is there, and the social classes. So a lot of the factors that determine overeating in politics can never be limited. So I would like to take a stop to that. So I'd like to take a stop to that.
Now, many people are of the opinion that when power of incumbency are used recklessly to cause depravity of participation among political aspirants, that is a strong way of orchestrating heating up of polity. Do you agree with this?
Yes, to a very large extent, I agree to that, and we can see that factor coming in play since the Fourth Republic of this nation. We can see that over time, when an incumbent is there, no matter at the state level or at the federal level, we will see that that power of incumbency will be in play. Even though no matter how they try to hide it, we will know that whether we like it or not, by looking at it straightly, we will see that there's a force in play. Take for example, that incumbency and godfatherism, they are side by side. Is what we cannot do without it. Take for example, Lagos State, for example, the election that brought in Sowolu, Governor Sowolu, into play. Ambode was thinking that it's going to be he's going to run for a second term, but Godfather was somewhere dictating and brought up Sowolu and talked about that Ambode is no, it's not only the choice of the people. It's not a party man or whatsoever.
But that election, you will agree also that it was a massive democratic participation, because it moved away from delegate election to direct primaries. Direct primary presupposes that the people made a choice between Ambode and not necessarily the godfather. What do you say to this?
That's true. You know, to every situation, there are always advantages and disadvantages. Even though any situation begin on the negative aspect, but on the longer run, the advantages will spring up. So the confidence that Ambode was having, because whether we like it or not, take anybody from any aspect of Nigeria to rule Lagos State, because of the standard that has been in place, no matter what they want to do, even though they have the negative intent to do otherwise, because of that standard, they will support to what to do good. Okay. Ambode, for example, did what is best known to him, and today people, a lot of songs emanated with what his name, that Ambo. Take for example someone look currently that is aspired to run for a second term. It did excellently well, and take me back to Fashola, and so Lagos. So
a standard was created, and the people are riding on that standard.
Yes,
the rest of it.
Yes, a standard has been created, and no matter what it might be, that standard must be maintained. That's why other states today they are trying to they emulate Lagos State, for example. They emulate it might be, they emulate Lagos State to make sure that what that standard they emulate it in their various states. And treating your question about the power of the incumbency, no matter what you might think about, they have power, and they have that authority to determine who will be the next. Take for example the current president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, talking about His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari. People has been crying on him, begging him to just endorse one person, but still yet he has not. The reason being that once he endorses anyone, automatically that person will have the flag bearer, will become the flag bearer of the All Progressive Congress.
Is that speaking to the heart of democracy as it should be?
Well, if I have to answer that honestly, it is not. But it still relates down to the power of the incumbency that we're talking about. No. Because whether we like it or not, in our various places of work, we have bosses. So, and whatever our bosses want to do, so far it is fair. That's what we should be looking at. Once it's fair, then we can take it to bed.
One of the elements of discontent in political aspirations that often leads to overheating of system that people have alluded to is when, for example, a governor wants to dictate who comes out for House of Representatives, who comes out for the House of Assembly in the state level, who comes out as a speaker, who comes out as senators. A governor wants to dictate all of that, and by that you hamstrung every other person, no matter how qualified they are, and the rest of it. If they don't enjoy the power of incumbency, favor, they are disqualified. And you see them jumping from one party, so you see deluge of discamping and things of that nature. How do we avoid such? So that, because at the end of the day, all these have impact on whether elections will be peaceful, transparent, and credible, or it will be violent prone. So,
I agree with you. I so much agree with you.
How do we avoid that?
The reason, how we avoid that is for everybody to know their limits. Once as an incumbent, you know your limits. That okay, even though I'm liking you, I'm favoring you, it should have an end. It shouldn't be because I assisted you to attain a position that at the end of the day, I'll be controlling your life. Take, for example, in the family setting. When our parents give birth to us, they train us in school, but the time comes that will say, okay, yes, we are adults. We need that freedom. The wise parent will give a limit to how he or she control their world. The same as the same practice should be utilized in the election stage. The incumbent should know its limits. Take for example what happened at Edo State with Governor Godwin Obaseki. When he came in, Oshomole brought him in. Well, he was the favorite candidate of Oshomole. But on the longer run, when Oshomole wanted to start dictating whatsoever, he had to speak up and say no. And we all know that the rest is history today. Is in the other party now, the PDP. And because of what? Because of he is not able to comply with the directive of the Godfather. So that limit must be set in place. And if there's a document to that effect that can be utilized, I think it will be an appropriate thing for it to do. So that everybody will know what and what they to do.
By your experiences, have you seen the Nigerian political class knowing the limits, particularly within the fact that we just spoke about conflict of interest of some political office holders that sat on their office, enjoying all the remunerations, and they want to become president, and they do not even have the temerity to, on their own, until the president comes for them and says, you can't go that way, and that kind of a thing. Your take.
Well, it has not really been in practice, to be sincere. In this country, it has not really. If you think about it right from history down to present day, you know, I keep on saying, as a lawyer, I believe that the law is the law. No matter how we search it in heaven or on earth, the law is the law. Well, the law sets a standard for all to abide with. So whether we like it or not, we must follow the law strictly. So if the law say this is what you should do, as a person or as an aspirant that have the interest of the people at heart, you should do it. It will not be for your own interest alone, it's for the interest of the general masses. And when I'm talking about the masses, I will include both the rich class and the middle class and the lower class. Because everybody, the interest of the people should be in the heart of every aspirant.
Talking about the law, many people have said strongly and that the Nigerian Constitution as we have it today is the very reasons why the nation is not navigating aright. Yet, we have some people that said that if we are able to even implement the intendment of the current constitution to the tune of even 50% ardently, that we will have the better nation that we aspire to have. And in the face of all of this, you have electoral act, you have some certain act that controls some certain practices in office, officialdom, like the CBN Act, the EFCC Act, all of those acts and the rest of it. And people, in the face of those acts, still act or travail against those acts. Do you think our problem is that of constitution or of attitude?
I won't really say our problem is that of the constitution, because even though in as far as the constitution is not perfect, being perfect, I mean, is not 100%. But some of the laid down provisions, if they are obeyed to the latter, we'll have a good running system of government. Take for example, the constitution ensuring the legislative arm to make law for this country.
Okay.
Talking about section 4, to make law for the peace, for the good and order of for the peace, order and good government of Nigeria. When the legislative arm make that law, it is now the power now shifts to the executive to implement, and that is where majorly we have the issue we are facing in Nigeria. So if the executive are ready to fully implement, to fully carry out the power that the constitution has given to them, then this country we compete with the like of the United States of America, because one thing that distinguishes the USA is that they obey the law strictly. Take for example, recently something happened in the United States of United Kingdom, that the Prime Minister Boris Johnson violated some rules as to the COVID-19 protocol, and it was found, and immediately he paid the allotted money, Immediately he paid it, and he came to the house and started apologizing that I am sorry. That is a sign that they have a good leader that hears the people and that is ready to comply with what is stated. So the constitution, to a very large extent,
the majority of their law in United Kingdoms are not incidental law. They are not as documented as our own law here.
Most exactly. So, but it's in the heart of the people that yes, this is what we need to do, and that is why they keep on going forward and having that result. So taking it back to the Nigeria scenario, our laws are documented, so there's no way to take for example the section 84 sub 12 that talk about any political appointee must not contest either convention, election of a political party before they must resign before contesting.
Okay.
There is no two way to read. It's very easy. There's a saying that absolute power corrupts.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now that you raised that, let me take you up on that.
Okay, sir.
You have talked about the National Assembly having the right of making law, amending law, and that. Then the executive having the authority, it is in their domain to implement the law, to execute the law. The place of the judiciary as interpreter and mediator of the law, are they judiciously playing their role? Because in this issue that you raised, the section 84 sub 12, a cloudy applicant went to a cloudy litigant that one cannot even vouch for the local standard, went to Abia State High Court, obtained judgment that people, Nigerians are saying that it can enter Guinness Book of Record. Under 10 days, judgment was out, nullifying the section 84 sub 12 and things of that nature. Thank God that appeal courts have seen it contrarily and things of that nature. With judiciary playing hachette men, judges playing hachette men to political class in order to protect paramount interests, would you say our judiciary are helping issues? Is it the issue of the constitution or perverted judiciary?
Well, being in judiciary, the judiciary are trying their best, and we know that the power that the constitution enshrined there is to interpret the law. And when we talk about interpretation, we have interpretation art, and there are various means of you be interpreting what is in the heart of the legislator. To every person, me being sitting here, and even including you, the way you look at some issues, and those issues definitely will determine the judgment you come out of it. And no matter the system, you may mention our obtaining judgment within 10 days. The prayer of average Nigeria is for us to be able to go to court and get judgment on time. So I won't want to go into the depth of the 10 days that you talked about, but I've instituted a case, and within less than 2 to 4 months, I got judgments.
Beautiful as that. That is what we want, and that is why even in the National Assembly today, we have a bill that is calling for establishment of expeditious courts that can try corruption cases and the rest of it. And you will be very shocked that even in the what do you call it, Supreme Court today, I have a knowledge of a particular case of a very what do you call it, a bank, one of the first generation bank, evacuated the money of a client. The client is fighting to recover the money, and this case has lingered for going to 18 to 20 years, and it is still there at the Supreme Court now, and that kind of a thing. So with this kind of judiciary that can move like a lightning in a suspicious manner to deliver judgment at times, then decided to stay all the years upon another thing. Are we striking balance? Are we actually having the judiciary that can stand for the building of a nation as we have it today?
Yes, we are.
Even the president has been crying against the judiciary, you know.
Yes, we are. You know, one thing that they have to do, even though we have that interest of having cases being carried out on time, we know that there are peculiarities. There are peculiarities, whether we like it or not. There are peculiarities. Okay. There is a saying that in the novel by called Farm Animal, that talk about every animals are equal, but there are more that is more equal. So, looking at it straightly, cases differs. There are some cases that have to do with urgency, while there are some that have to do with okay, let's take it gradually. But either way, the aim that what we are looking at, which is our aim, is to have a speedy judgment. So I'll be able to know I can run to court and in no time I get my judgment. So the judiciary is no way part of the problem of this country. Is no way, and is less down to what
now what people are saying about that judgment is not past the speed. Yes, the speed come into notice because of the nature of the proclamation of that judgment, and which the Court of Appeal in their wisdom have voided now and on. And even when the proclamation came out, instead of the Office of the Attorney General to stay actions and wait, knowing that this can go for appeal, they wanted to gazette it and the rest of it. And so these are the kind of things we are trying to say. Let us be diligent so that we can avoid overheating the system. Your take on this?
We know. Talking about that, when the president assented to the Electoral Act, we know that he instructed the National Assembly to delete that particular section we are talking about, which the National Assembly, in our wisdom, declined, and this led this led to the case in court. So when judgment was being given, we know that the issue as to that section is that no political appointee must contest election until they resign. The question I would have loved to ask is who will sack them? Are they the one that are going to resign on by themselves, or the president that is going to sack them? But if we read that section 84 strictly, it did not mandate the president or the governor of a state to sack. I think it gave that onus on the appointee himself to be forced to resign. And this now is not issue of what the interest that I've been talking about earlier. If you have the interest of the people at heart and know fully whether the position you are going for, this is the aim I'm trying to get from it, then it's a win-win situation for you.
Some people said the president was misadvised by strategic interests that hope to benefit from staying in the office while running for another office.
We know when it comes about
your take on that. When
it comes to enacting any aspect of our law, we know that it's boiled down to interest. Some person has accused the deputy speaker of the National Assembly, that's that he single-handedly wrote the Electoral Act, which he has denied. That's not the position. So I know that the legislative, they are aiming at something, and there's a question that I came across with by some of my senior colleagues, and they said, if the National Assembly can bring out this clause in the Electoral Act, talking about Section 84, that why don't they put also that lawmaker too should resign? Why is it that it's only political appointee? And we know that political appointee, they are on the side of the...
What's your position on that?
It should be general.
It is like you saying that the vice president should resign, the governor should resign, the president should resign in order to recontest. Is that tenable?
It's to a very large
extent. There's a difference between political appointees and elected people.
That's true.
So, your take?
That's true.
Because you lawyers, you should guide. You are the elite that are supposed to guide the society. All right.
Of course.
Speak to that heart.
Of course. There's a huge difference between being elected and being appointed.
Okay.
The difference is, if for example I'm elected to become the president of Nigeria, I'm the voice of the people. That makes me the mandate of the people. Because it was done during election processes.
Now you look at it this way.
Okay.
Now the president have decided to teach those who refuse to learn the lessons of honor that you cannot be a minister and be running for president and still hold that position with your, so that being that, and you definitely know that the ministers are members of the executive council. The vice president is a member of the executive council. Speaking in the light of what you are saying, this proclamation of the Mr. President does not affect the vice president.
Yes.
Why? Because he's concurrently elected with the president.
Yes.
So that is the difference between the political office and the rest of it. So why will anybody, or a lawyer rather, be talking about National Assembly be inclusive in resigning in order to contest?
That particular statement is accredited to one of the senior advocates of Nigeria. Yes, sir. And
maybe he was being sentimental and not being legal.
Oh no, not really, because when we look at it strictly, either from the Constitution, which is the ground norm, and the newly passed electoral act, we will see that there's nothing deter anybody from either the legislative or the judiciary from maybe resigning and following up their personal interests.
Have you taken a look at it this way, that most of the political appointees are holding executive office? An executive office can run down from the height of national level to the state level and things of that nature, which places you at advantage to manipulate system and things of that nature. Talk about the CBN governor, the attorney general, and other and that kind of a thing. This confers on you undue advantage that you can use to deliberately ostracize some certain people from participation while you are exercising undeserved authority and things of that nature. Don't you think that this is the wisdom behind the National Assembly trying to come up with this section 84 sub 12?
That's true.
If that is true, why will anybody be advocating for its nullification?
It's a good question. When I read about the section 84, I was speculating how is this going to be? But someone somewhere needs to be used as a scapegoat. Someone somewhere needs to be used as a scapegoat for it to come in force. We know that the practice over time in Nigeria is that I can successfully hold a post before and aim for another post. Then when that post is successful, then I will drop the previous one and continue with the former. Even though it not relates strictly to the scenario we are looking at. Take for example the newly elected APC chairman. It was when he became the APC chairman that he had to leave the National Assembly. So that has been the practice over time. But it will be a thing of joy to the populace if the Section 84 can be in practice right from this current the forthcoming election.
In one word, if we have to avoid overheating the polity, much because over time we had experienced electoral violences in this country, the type that we don't want to remember or recall any longer. If we have to avoid overheating the system, what would be your advice to political aspirants, practitioners, and those who hold strategic positions of incumbents?
To that, I have 3 solutions to it.
Please speak to it. Number
1, we have to think about and ask the question, who is in charge of our election in this nation? And take us to the direct answer of INEC. INEC is the almighty when it comes to election in Nigeria. So they need to set the standard. To some extent, they've tried. They've filed some cases, even down to the Supreme Court level, to deregister some parties, and which has been upheld by the Supreme Court. To that extent, they've tried to reduce the overeating of the polity. And to some other extent, but we need them to come out and lay the hammer on the head of the nail to the extent that they have to come up with policies and be documented to make sure that what everybody know what and what to do. Looking at it, for example, it is political party that register with INEC, not individual aspirants. Okay. So once a political party violates any of the provision, either in the Constitution or the Electoral Act, INEC should be ready to sanction. Looking at this section, the same section 84, paragraph 13, talk about any political party that did not comply with subsection 12. We make sure that
the kind of political manipulations that overheat the systems are they much more occasioned by INEC or by, what do you call it, political parties?
Well, political parties, their interest is to be at the helm of affairs, and they are going to do anything to get there. So it is the
onus rests on them.
It rests on INEC.
Okay.
To come about every policy they need to go to put in place for
their supervisory role.
Yes, even much more than that, because their powers is more than supervisory role.
But these political parties are very powerful now, particularly now that they have vested 100 million in billions and things of that nature. Do you think INEC can control them? Of
course, INEC can control. There's no how. I am the owner of the house. A stranger will come and overpower me. In quote, there's no how. This is the aim of INEC.
They are the power in government, they are the party in government, and the party aspiring to come into government, and they are very, very wealthy now with political aspirations, and
that doesn't make them the controller of election in Nigeria.
Wouldn't it be better that the political party obey their own constitution, their rules, and their manifestos in order to avoid than casting it upon INEC?
Of course. Before a political party, one of the rules of a political party before you be registered, either with whatsoever regulatory body it might be, or especially with INEC, you must have a constitution. And if you don't obey...
Thank you very much. We have been talking to Comrade Ayodele Adepito. We are en route into 2023 elections at all levels. Let us ensure that we avoid overheating the system, particularly the political parties, the political aspirants. Let's behave, obey our own set rules and regulations. That is the best way we can prevent overheating the system, that we may have credible and non-violent elections. Until next week, Thursday, we come back to you on Nationalism and You. I say stay tuned and be faithful to ITV. Certainly the best.